120 words per minute. Legal passage. Start. By an application under Section 8 of the Arbitration and Conciliation Act 1996, on behalf of Regency, the arbitration clause in the agreement was set out, and the civil judge senior division was asked to refer the parties to arbitration. The learned advocate appearing on behalf of the appellant has taken us through the record and argued that when it comes to serious allegations of fraud, an arbitrator's jurisdiction gets ousted, and reading the pleadings in this special civil suit, it is obvious that serious allegations of fraud being raised in the present case, the dispute is thus rendered non arbitrable. She then referred to Section 8 of the 96 Act as amended by the Arbitration and Conciliation Amendment Act 2015 to further argue that both the district judge as well as the High Court did not look into the requirements of the amended Section 8. She also argued that basing herself on the 7-judge bench judgment that the correct application of Section 8 is not a mere mechanical incantation of the section, the court having to apply its mind as to whether there exists an arbitration agreement at all, which would include whether the subject matter of the proceeding is at all arbitrable. She also argued that the original agreement did not contain an arbitration clause, and since the suit was to set aside that agreement as well, the dispute could not be decided piecemeal, and on this ground also ought not to have been referred to arbitration. She then relied heavily upon Section 31 of the Specific Relief Act 1963 and stated that a reading of the plaint and the prayers in the suit would show that the suit is on the cancellation of 3 written instruments. This being so, and the proceeding under Section 31 being a proceeding in rem, would fall within one of the exceptions made out. For this purpose, she relied heavily upon a judgment of the High Court of Judicature at Hyderabad for Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. On all these grounds, therefore, the cryptic judgment of the Bombay High Court ought to be set aside, and the suit should be set down for hearing to be disposed of within a short time frame. The learned senior advocate appearing on behalf of respondent number 1 referred us to the case law on the fraud exception and stated that after the judgment this exception would only apply if it can be stated that the agreement itself was never executed, in which case the arbitration clause itself would fall, but not otherwise. Also, since there are no public ramifications in the present proceeding, and in particular no ramifications of a criminal nature, neither of the conditions precedent for the application of the fraud exception being present in this case, it is clear that the judgments of the courts below were correct in law. When it came to Section 31 of the Specific Relief Act, the learned senior advocate stated that a correct reading of this section would show that the court's jurisdiction being discretionary and for the benefit of the party interested in setting aside a written instrument, the proceeding would have to be considered to be one in personam. According to him, the judgment in Alliance Developers does not lay down the law correctly and should be overruled by us. In answer to the argument that the agreement, which did not contain an arbitration clause, was also sought to be cancelled in the suit, he argued that this was inserted only in the prayer clause in order to camouflage the suit so as to get out of arbitration. The first respondent is a partnership firm based in Amritsar, which is Inter Alia, engaged in the import of cement. It imported a consignment of 1400 bags of cement from the neighboring country under an invoice. A truck crossed the zero line with a customs cargo manifest. The goods arrived at the Land Customs Station Road Cargo, Amritsar on the same day. The truck unloaded its cargo at the Central Warehousing Corporation. The first respondent filed bill seeking clearance of the goods for home consumption. The bill of entry was self-assessed under the provisions of Section 17 of 1 of the Customs Act under Customs Tariff heading by levying nil customs duty in terms of notification. The duty payable was assessed. Notification prescribed a preferential rate of duty on specified goods originating in the Islamic Republic. A notification issued by the Minister of Finance in the Department of Revenue in exercise of powers conferred by subsection 1 of Section 8A of the Customs Tariff Act 1975. On the other hand, the contention of the Union government before the High Court was that under Section 15 of the Customs Act 1962, the relevant date for determining the rate of duty is the date of the presentation of the bill of entry. The submission was that the amended rate of duty under a notification came into force, hence the importers were liable to pay duty on the basis of the amended rate, the purpose of the notification being to discourage the import of goods from him. It has prospective effect. The object and purpose is not to penalize Indian importers who had completed their imports, presented bills of entry for home consumption, and had completed self-assessment in terms of provisions of the Customs Act and the regulations prior to the issuance of the notification. The submissions which were urged have been supported by other learned counsel appearing for the respondents. In the case of other goods, it is the date of payment of duty which determines the rate of duty under Clause C of Section 15 of 1. The proviso to Section 15 of 1 contemplates a situation where a bill of entry has been presented before the date of the entry inwards of the vessel or the arrival of the aircraft or vehicle through which the goods are imported. Under the proviso to Section 46 of 3, a bill of entry may be presented at any time not exceeding 30 days prior to the expected arrival of the aircraft or vehicle by which the goods have been shipped for importation into India. Dealing with such a situation, the proviso states that if a bill of entry has to be presented prior to the date of the entry inward of the vessel or the arrival of the aircraft or vehicle by which the goods are imported, the bill of entry is deemed to have been presented on the date of the entry inwards or the arrival of the goods. Hence, even where the bill of entry has been presented before the date of the entry inwards or the arrival of the aircraft or vehicle, the rate of duty is determined with reference to the date of entry inwards or the arrival of the aircraft or vehicle. This is a consequence of the deeming fiction under the proviso, as a result of which the presentation of the bill of entry when filed prior to the arrival of the goods is deemed to be on the date of the entry inwards or the date of the aircraft or vehicle.